This is insane. Shadow Necro get a huge buff or bug. We're finally doing billions, trillions of damage with damage over time skills. Okay, I am speed farming. I'm teleporting through the dungeon. What changed and how does it work? First, the actual gameplay, and let's choose a pit 75 because that's what you have to do for the seasonal journey. You were teleporting around with Wither, activate Soul Rift, pull things together with Blight. We now have permanent barrier up. We don't die. We do multiple billions of damage over time to everyone. As soon as our Sever's out, we can just teleport into the next, spam our Blight, pull things together because we're actually playing the Blight aspect, drop some corpse explosions to get the damage multiplier, and then keep zooming through. Like, you notice how they're all getting packed up? That's the beautiful Blight, just pulling them together. Corpse explosion, corpse explosion, corpse explosion, corpse explosion, and the elites are just melting away. Funny is that I am using rather shoddy gear. I pretty much went into my box of riches and pulled out whatever I had lying around and then gave it some basic tampers to make this work. And the real cool damage right now is actually coming from a boss power. And that is really good because this boss power allows us to also be good versus bosses. Because traditionally, damage over time could always clear packs of mobs, right? Like I need to clear a pack. Damage over time can do this, billions and billions and billions of damage right now. But against a boss, it was somewhat struggling. For this, let's jump to a Torment 4 boss, because they have gotten rather sturdy and annoying to kill. And now we gotta build up some basic damage over time, get our corpses done, and he's already ticking down. He's already ticking down. Look at that. Look at that. Perfection. Yep. I mean, does this look like a struggle for you in a boss fight? Not at all. And can we replicate it on other classes? For example, the sorceress. The insane damage we're dealing comes from a combination of 2 boss powers. And a shout out to Mr. Macro Be Your Boy for making me aware of this. Good video, Macro. The one boss power is Varshan's Lifesteal. Activating your main boss power inflicts nearby enemies with 1 million corrupting damage over 2 seconds. Now, 1 million doesn't sound like a lot, but Necromancer is traditionally known for scaling corruption damage to the moon. We do have the legendary node Wither. Your corruption effects have a 67% chance to do 300% bonus damage. So already our base in town 1 million, 300% increase with a 67% chance, including the 40% for exploding corpses, and generally runes to just scale corrupting damage. And by the way, corrupting damage is shadow damage over time. If I activate all my boosts and suddenly go all out and then explode the corpses and all that kind of stuff, right? And we're getting the Flash Eater running, suddenly our damage over time is a 14 million base instead of that puny 1 million. That's not all of it though, because you have the main boss power Flesh Reaper's Disruption. Damaging a vulnerable enemy removes the vulnerable status and then stuns surrounding enemies. Why would we use this? Because damaging a vulnerable enemy means if there is a gang of all these guys, then the power Varshan's Lifesteal will trigger on all of them. Damaging a vulnerable enemy. I will activate Soul Rift. Soul Rift makes everyone vulnerable, but at the same time damages them. So it's pulling the vulnerable away. Like alone Soul Rift, I do nothing else. And we're already doing 500 million damage over time. Just from my ultimate. Without scaling. There's 1 billion damage already happening just from that. Without doing my Blight to actually scale it further. Without doing my corpse explosions to scale it further. There is 11, 15, 20 billion damage just like that. Out. Easily. No problem. Damage over time. From the boss power. Because we're removing the vulnerable. Reapplying the vulnerable. Removing the vulnerable. Reapplying the vulnerable. And to make this happen even more frequent. So not just with your Soul Rift. That also gives us 75% bonus damage. We're playing the aspect called a Cursed Touch. Up to a 40% chance for your skills to inflict Vampiric Curse, and Vampiric Curse makes vulnerable. That means you have now your Soul Rift, which sucks souls every 0.25 seconds. And in between of these seconds that you're actually damaging enemies and damage over time ticks are happening and you're removing the vulnerable, you're reapplying vulnerable as well with more lucky hit. to truly always have them vulnerable. And to scale this even further, we have Cinnarid's Flame for that 5% up to 25% increase, and also the Endariel's Flaming Scale for 20% more damage over time. This set of powers can pretty much be used by every single class if you then apply vulnerable enough and remove vulnerable enough. Funny story, already as the heads up, my Blizzard sorcerers applies tons of Beast of Ice Sleet, like bop, 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 the same speed as you remove the vulnerable, and can actually play Varshan's Lifesteal as well. Now to the big trick with Necromancer and why we're playing 6 shadow skills. That is Reaper's Pursuit. For each darkness skill in your action bar, gain 14% multiplicative more damage. I only have 7 ranks in Reaper's Pursuit. We are playing the Eben Pierce's Amulet, and with a greater affix Reaper's Pursuit, you go up to 6 or 7, 8 ranks later on. So double the amount that I have right now, which increases the damage 2% more per rank. So another 4 ranks is then sitting at almost 20% damage, multiplicative per shadow skill in my bar. And we're actually using all of them, because if you shoot Blight in, Blight gives us another 20% damage multiplier. That's pretty damn good. Thank you, Blight. And then Blight's Defiled Aura pulls enemies in, that we have something to pull them together, so they all take the damage over time from me. We have our Corpse Explosion be a shadow skill, and the Blighted Corpse Explosion is being used together with the Flesh Eater for another 40% bonus damage, and then we're also making Blood Orbs out of corpses to get another 50% bonus damage from the Blood Begets board, together with the aspect of the Embalmer. 30% chance to make a Blood Orb as you consume a corpse. For the other 2 shadow skills, you get the Reap and the Decompose. 2 basic skills, you're going to put these 2 points anyways. Due to our Air of Perdition, that you don't need, but it gives us plus ranks to core skills, so I don't have to invest skill points into the Sever. We also have the Sever, and Sever then is a shadow skill that with Inexorable Reaper on the boots gives us mobility. By the way, all these things are only 4 times Masterwork, apart from the Amulet being 8 times Masterwork. And yet, soaring, clapping. We're playing the Air of Perdition mostly for that 60 fixed multiplier, but actually for the huge lucky hit chance, as that works so well for the Accursed Touch, for the bonus lucky hit, bonus lucky hit, bonus lucky hit, bonus lucky hit. With Decrepify and Abhorrent Decrepify, we make sure that we always have our cooldowns up to really play Soul Rift the whole time. And Soul Rift is the centerpiece here. It makes enemies vulnerable, it sucks their souls out, it gives me Bury It, gives me 75% bonus damage. It is truly crazy. Sadly, there's no good key passive to play here, because you could play the Shadow Blight key passive that you have this shadow damage procs happening over time and over time and over time and over time again. But yeah, we don't really crit, so it's kind of like not getting boosted by damage over time. Sure, it gets a 1000% bonus, but I'd rather take Affliction, which says vulnerable, crowd-controlled, or corrupted enemies take another 15% damage from me. Nothing's too special, but if they take 15% more damage, then they'll take also more damage from Varshan's Lifesteal. And that's pretty much what we want to do. We want to increase the damage that we deal with Corruption and Shadow. Eliminator gives us more intelligence. More intelligence is more Wither. You want to have the 2000 intelligence because that's the cap for this skill. Then you have the Scorch Glyph, which gives you corruption damage and increased damage, plus more damage to corrupted enemies. Followed up by the Sacrificial Glyph for more damage while you have no active minions. Okay, I can do this. Then you get the Darkness Glyph, which gives you more shadow damage. Shadow damage is corruption damage, so we could increase that further. And lastly, you do another 10% multiplier non-physical damage, and I don't even have the skill point put in to right now make this work. Let's weasel this out. Boom, another 10% non-physical damage. Notice we're not even completely perfected yet. My glyphs are 42, 16, 16. We get the Scorch to 46 and the Eliminator. Very base, and yet the billions over billions of damage. I do believe the Shroud of the False Death would make this even stronger as I get more passive points. Boosting our Gloom. When you damage enemies with darkness skills, they take 12% increased shadow damage from you and your minions for 2 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. Hello? Yeah, 6 ranks in is 12%. Another rank is crazy. Terror. They take increased shadow damage to crowd-controlled enemies and increased shadow damage to elite bosses. another 18%. More ranks than terror? Yes, it is absolutely crazy. Best part is with your sacrifices, we can get another 20% shadow damage, then we can get another 20% damage to vulnerable, and right now I'm getting 20% more max life or attack speed to spam your skills even further. Crit damage is obviously useless. Now, I could probably put in the sacrificial aspect instead of the blight to pull things together, but that's one less shadow skill, one less 14% bonus damage. Kinda doesn't feel like it. We do also play the cast an ultimate, get more damage. Another 30%. Could probably play Great Feast for the 45% multiplier. You need to have the Curse Touch. Then we simply have you deal increased shadow damage to enemies afflicted by any curse. Another 100% damage seems appropriate to what we're doing. We get that Inexorable Reaper teleport, the Embomber, and then the Cursed Aura as well. Technically, this Blight pull aspect could be on the helmet, freeing up the aspect slot on the gloves. For tempering, we have corruption damage everywhere, an ultimate skill cooldown. This gets followed up by Soul Rift duration, that our Soul Rift is always up. I think I was sitting at a duration of 15.62 seconds with a 30-second cooldown that you reduce due to the Cursed Aura Decrepify. And since we always have Bury up, avoid health damage while fighting for 2 seconds, invoke the Barbarian's Warcry. That's another 15% more damage, simply for your shadow damage over time boss power. And for the weapon, we're tempering, right now fueled by death, that would be corpse consumption for more damage. Optimally, I would temper finality, another 4 rings, and then masterwork it up, because that increases my damage after casting an ultimate by 15%, and every rank is 5%. Another 20% like that, on top of what we're doing anyways. You notice, you saw 20 billion damage over time. I didn't even have my gems in. I mean, let's see with the changes that we just did. How high does this go? Teleport forward, Soul Rift on, Blights in, Reaping in between, Corpse Explosions, billions of damage coming to your lads here. Funny part, we usually finish a 75 with 10 minutes plus left. And the intriguing part here is, this can do 80, this can do 90, this can even do pit 100. Which it never should be able to do, but hey, it can. One of my fellow Necromancer creators from Max Roll, Mr. Serok, I think he posted a 101 inside the creator Discord. And we're talking though about then greater affix, amulet and that kind of stuff. So there is a lot of room for improvement on this build. Gameplay loop, very simple. You're rather safe or you're not going to be dying. I don't have a huge amount of elemental resistance right now because I really didn't look out for it. Should probably get a better armor temper or a greater affix to armor that I can actually put on diamonds. But yeah, it's just way too much fun to play and finally see shadow damage be good. Now, I want to also show you the pit boss because I stole that from you as we have been then just doing a Torment 4 boss. So let's actually fast track forward to the pit boss. Okay, to the boss fight. Go in, spam him with blights, reap in between, do the corpse explosions to get yourself your little friends, the blood orbs, to increase your damage. Then blight. Always make sure to have the blight up. It's a lot of damage over time. It's a lot of ticks that remove the vulnerable. Then you need to always make sure to actually do have your corpse explosions up for that damage multiplier. You want to have the blood orbs collected for that damage multiplier. Then Soul Rift and yeah, he's just melting down. I'm not struggling on a boss, right? The boss does not feel slower than the dungeon itself. And that's great. I'm not even clicking a button anymore at this point. I just have my hands off the keyboard. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Going to give this a try? And before you ask, this works on other classes as well. You need the lucky hit. You need scaling to damage over time. And then you can spam it with a Blizzard Sword, maybe a Death Trap Rogue. They don't need it. But it is possible. If you're now looking for said Death Trap Rogue to then maybe try it on, there's the video. Enjoy. Have a fantastic good day.